Just like everyone predicted, the Rockies and A's gave us one of the best series of the year so far.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, A's fans, and welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast where we talk about your Oakland A's all year long. I am your very mellow host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. And with us today is yet another Paul Francis. I didn't realize I didn't need to put my lower third on because we've already got our boxes on. But I'm going to keep it calm today. Along is another Paul Francis, and he is the host of Locked on Rockies. Please introduce yourself.
Sully, I'm going to try to keep it calm, but I don't know if I can keep it calm. But for the A's fans out there, I am Paul Francis Holden, not Paul Francis Sullivan. You can call me Paul. That's fine. I am the host of the Locked On Rockies podcast. I've been doing this for my fourth season now, and it's something. Yep. Watching the Rockies is something.
You can follow us. Very mellow, laid-back podcast. You can follow us at Locked On A's on Twitter or on Instagram. I am your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, or whatever the hell it's called now, and Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. And today's episode has been very gently brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's a $150 with any $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. What is your handle?
I am at Paul Holden 33, or you can follow the show LO Rockies.
I'm poking fun at one of my best listeners out there, and someone who's an everyday listener to the show. And where's his comment? I mean, one of my finest listeners has wrote a whole bunch of things on from yesterday's show saying, "Stop yelling at us, stop screaming at us." And I went back and I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And where's his comment? He just did he delete all of them? I don't know. Maybe he did. Yeah, it was saying to stop yelling and screaming, and I'm like, I didn't realize I was yelling and screaming, and I re-listened to the show, and I'm like, I don't recall yelling or screaming even when I listened to it. I raised my voice a few times out of enthusiasm, but I'm trying to keep it mellow and calm, and so naturally we have a couple of absolutely out of our mind. Okay, Zach Mitchell writes, I'm glad someone's keeping calm. What a crazy game that was. And here's the deal, Zach. You could say that about all three of the games that were played between Colorado and Oakland. Oh, my God. What an absolutely bananas series we just sat through.
I mean, it was crazy because it's just the amount of what happened. I mean, it was the Rockies jumping ahead in all three games and then being basically shut out until the end. And then, of course, the finale, not only is it the wildness and extra innings, but the Rockies of all teams are the one that gets a Miller, of all the teams to be the ones to finally crack the case of this guy that in the first game of this series, I don't have any clue how you hit this dude when he can just come up and consistently pump 100, 101, 103 miles per hour right at your face. And then here the Rockies are, and they bring things back. It's enjoyable, but as Rockies fans, it's infuriating. I mean, this series is everything wrong with the Colorado Rockies this season encapsulated in a series. I mean, 3 quality starts from your pitchers, and you lose this series, especially when you mix in the fact that all of them put you in a position to win. You were leading most of the game, and the bullpen can't get you a simple amount of outs. It's absolutely unacceptable for the Colorado Rockies to lose this series. It's I mean, it's not that surprising, especially for folks that, I mean, we're talking A's Rockies here. We're not talking the juggernauts. We're talking two teams that are very familiar with baseball teams that struggle. But to blow 2 4-run leads in the finale of a game after you get a chance of going up against it, you do damage against the best closer in baseball this season, it's unacceptable. And the problem with the Rockies is no one's going to be held accountable. I don't think that nothing's going to change in Colorado because of this. They're going to trot the same lineups up. Bud Black is going to be secure in his job. So is Scott Foster in his pitching job. But that bullpen performance from the Rockies in this series, you can't even, there's not enough disappointing adjectives to assign to it, because these are pros, man. They got to be better than that, plain and simple.
Let's break down. We're recording this in the evening. Actually, this is a live stream. On here, it's on Thursday, the 23rd of May. Let's just go over this weird game that took place on Thursday afternoon in front of friends and family in Oakland. Once again, out of the gate, the Rocks are up 2-0 before the guy playing Stomper has on his elephant costume. Doyle gets the double. They're up 2-0. McMahon forces it to be 3-0. And by the time we get to the 6th inning, it's 4-0. And I have the game on in my classroom, and I'm thinking okay, this is just it. And we'll talk a little bit about yesterday's game was so enraging. And I talked about it Locked On MLB the other day, where I'm like, why can't anyone bunt a runner to third when all you need is one run to win a game? Man. Bunt them to third. Why is this such a difficult? If they bunt to third, bunting, chaos can happen. They could throw the ball away. 70% of the time, you'll have the winning run at third with one out, which you would ask a genie for. And if we have the stupid Manfred man, we should have that. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, this series is lost. And then the A's seem to only be able to score with homers.
Right.
And it's amazing because it feels like the A's have about 1,000 homers this year. And I looked up and I thought, J.D. Davis must be close to 11, 12 homers by now. That was his 4th.
Right.
I don't understand why they still have these low home run totals. And it seems like all they score is homers. But here's an amazing thing. They're still losing in the bottom of the 9th. And Daz Cameron, who hasn't played in the major leagues in over a year, I had no clue Daz Cameron was on the roster. And few people are following the A's as closely as I have this season so far. He homered in the 9th inning, which meant for the 3rd straight game, the A's tied the game in either the 8th or 9th inning. He homers, and then Geloff singled in. Both teams exchanged a Manfred man run in the 10th. And then the 11th, Miller, who was unhittable, suddenly the roof caved in. It was bound to happen. He was bound to have a bad game. And you saw him that first game when he pitched against them. It didn't look fair.
Right. Insane. It doesn't, when you see that guy coming out, and that's what I thought when the 11th, the A's have this incredible weapon that if you are in a 1-run ball game, if they like they had in the first game, if they have a 1-run lead, they have won. They have won the game in the 9th because that guy is so, man, talk about it being already hard to hit. He throws a slider that's deadly in the high 90s, and then he can pump you 103 on the hands. That's nuts. But for the Rockies and for Chris Bryant, of all people, to be the guy that gets the hit to start things off against Miller in the 10th to be the first run before the 11th even happens is crazy because Chris Bryant's batting sub 200, just got off the IL this week.
Yeah. And then, Cave got the RBI, and then you got okay, it's a Manfred run. Okay, fine. Then Doyle, oh boy. And then Brendan Rodgers drove in. I think it was a bases clearing double or
it was a 2 RBI single.
Oh yeah, well either way, it was 9-5, which is great if you're watching a Dolly Parton, Jane Fonda film, but not great if you look at it. And I said, all right, well they're done. This is it. And I started thinking about the what could have been here, what could have been there, and all right, they made it 9-6, fine. And then Toro got the hit and made it 9-7 with nobody out. That's when I sat up and said, ooh, because the Rockies aren't exactly the 2015 Royals in terms of bullpen depth right now. And it's like, ooh, you could make up 2 runs. And J.J. Bleday kept the doctor away with, I thought it was his 45th home run, but apparently it's his 7th. And then let's talk about it, Paul. Let's talk about it. We'll hit a commercial in a second, but do you want? Let's tease you right there. There's something we need to talk about because I don't understand something. I don't care if you are the Rockies or not. I just don't understand something.
Sully, what I do understand, though, is spring has sprung, and that means spring cleaning. Whether that means stocking up on cleaning supplies or swapping out your winter clothes for new spring clothes, make sure you're using Ibotta and get real cash back with every purchase. Yes, that's right. Cash back with every purchase. And if you're getting ready to build your spring wardrobe or gearing up for baseball season as you get ready to maybe hit the road for a baseball road trip, who knows? Ibotta is a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies to toys, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Join the over 50 million users and earn cash back every time you shop from over 2,700 brands and retailers, including all your favorite grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. That's the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register after you download the Ibotta app on the App Store or Google Play Store for free, and you can use that code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store, and use code LOCKEDONMLB.
Order supplies from the website that's made for skilled trades. Find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple of clicks at supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with fast delivery anywhere in the United States. Need help with an order? Get industry-leading after-sales service from their friendly and knowledgeable support team. And guess what? Here's a miracle. You could talk to a real person every time. And thanks to the great supplyhouse.com inventory, you can get great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors, because being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals can join their Trade Master program for free shipping and serious discounts on every order. Over 100,000 pros already trust the Trade Master program to deliver results. Apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at supplyhouse.com/TM. Save money, time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, electrical supplies from supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Supplyhouse.com. Hey, where is your hub for getting all of your baseball, sports, football, hockey, whatever you follow? Where do you get your stories from?
Well, you got to go to Locked On Sports Today, the 24/7 streaming channel available to you on YouTube and the Amazon Fire TV channels. If you're sick of the yelling, if you don't want to listen to all of those people fired up about God knows what on those things, you can check out Locked On Sports Today, 24/7 sports streaming coverage. And Sully, did you know that you can get all your Oakland A's and Colorado Rockies play-by-play action on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app all season long?
I did. You know what? I was now years old when I found that out. Now, of course, some people think there's a lot of yelling from this show, but today we're bringing it down. Okay, let me ask you a question. Okay, I'm gonna go to FanDuel and say I'm gonna put all my money on the A's and Rockies to meet in the World Series. That'd be a dumb bet, right?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be pretty dumb. Okay,
right.
So these are not two teams that Ken Burns is going to follow in the next installment of baseball. All right. But they are major leaguers. They made it to the show. Okay. I will never, ever understand how any major league team can ever lose on a bases loaded walk, especially with 2 outs.
It's plain and simple, Sully. It's inexcusable. It's another terrible loss on a long list of bad losses for this Rockies team, and a Rockies team that just can't stop making bad headlines. This game's an embarrassment. I mean, Game 3 is plain and simple an embarrassment on a team that just won 7 straight and then lost to a team that dominates them in the Giants. But they had ample opportunities not only to win this series, but sweep this series and get themselves back on track before they face now 3 of the best teams in baseball. The Rockies followed this series up now by playing the Phillies, and then they play the Guardians, and then they play the Dodgers. You can't afford to miss out on opportunities like this. When your pitcher gives you a quality start, when you have 3 quality starts, when you have the lead in 3 games in the 9th inning, it's got to be game over. It's got to. The amount of walks the Rockies bullpen gives up is unacceptable. The amount of hits the Rockies bullpen gives up, especially home runs, is unacceptable. Justin Lawrence and Tyler Kinley have been nothing short of a disappointment this season. Of 2 of my players that I was really excited about, 2 players that I thought were going to take a step forward and be leaders on this Rockies team, have unfortunately been key parts in disastrous moments. The Rockies had a 5-run lead against the Miami Marlins, and they blew that lead. The Rockies, when playing against the worst teams in baseball, have embarrassed themselves and shown why they have earned the title of one of the worst teams in baseball. And it's just so infuriating because you're right, Sully. They are pros. And a walk in that situation, and the walks that the bullpen have given up in a lot of situations in this game, in this series, and in this season are unacceptable, especially when you're led by a supposed pitcher-focused manager.
I want to get back to that. The bases are loaded. There are 2 outs. Okay. Now you've already blown a 4-run lead, a lead in the 9th inning, and a massive lead against a can't miss all-star closer. Okay. You've already blown all those. Now you've loaded the bases, and you've done an intentional walk to load the bases as well. I will note. There's 3 balls, no strikes to wait. Who was it was MotorsFrom was the batter. Okay. And at that point, I can't remember who was pitching for it wasn't
Coke it was Peter Lambert who was put into the game in that final bat because Matt Coke couldn't do anything.
Right. Yeah. The 14th caller was in there pitching. Okay. Now, at this point, if it's 3-0, you have to, if anything, lob it right down the middle of the plate.
Lollipop it.
Because, okay, the worst case scenario, and I've said this before, the worst case scenario is a walk-off grand slam. And at that point, you tip your hat. You say, you beat us by hitting that grand slam. Of course, he could get a hit. Of course, he could get a bloop, a gork. To paraphrase Crash Davis and Bull Durham, the grounder with eyes, all the different things that could happen. However, he could take it for strike 1. He could pop up. He could swing and miss. He could ground out. He can hit sharply, like there's a couple of great plays that the second baseman made in some key moments. Someone could make a diving catch. There's 2 outs. If you leap over the fence and bring it back, it's the end of the inning. You have to lob it down the middle of the plate. If nothing else, I know that's not ideal, but 3-0 bases loaded, tie game, bottom of the 11th. There is zero excuse, because if you don't lob it down the heart of the plate, then the game's over and you've handed it to them. You have to make the other team win at that point. You have to make Soderstrom, who has been okay, but he's not exactly freaking Shohei Ohtani at the plate. Throw him a strike and make him do something. If he pops up to the catcher, you're moving on. And guess what? They've already burnt through Miller and all their great pitchers. And then it just turns into, clearly, I mean, it's going to be the mascots pitching at any moment, but still, at least you give yourself a shot.
Yeah, exactly. There's too many of these types of examples for the Colorado Rockies this season and beyond. I mean, this loss is, I mean, it just comes down to a moment where it's so frustrating, but I'm at a point where it's how frustrated and what is the point of really being frustrated, because I don't expect change with this Rockies team. I don't expect this to change the mindsets of the Rockies. And I just want to set the stage here for A's fans who have been going through it and going through some miserable things. The Colorado Rockies set a new major league record for most games trailed consistently to start a season. They broke a record from 1910. The St. Louis Blues or Bears or whatever the heck their names were, the Rockies now have the record. They trailed in every single game until earlier this month at a certain point in the season. They had the worst start in franchise history, following up their worst season in franchise history. They are paying Chris Bryant a ton of money to be on the IL and bat under 200. They have a bullpen that can't finish games. They have starting pitchers that no one's heard of that have actually put up some of the best performances that the Rockies could have asked for, but are spoiled because this Rockies offense can't do anything. How many times do you think the Rockies struck out against this dominant A's staff? 2 games in which they have double-digit strikeouts. You throw an off-speed pitch to this Rockies team with 2 strikes, they're going to swing and miss. This team is, man, it's really tough, because I thought they turned a corner in the winning streak, because I thought they'll take one off the chin in San Francisco, because that's just history. San Francisco has the Rockies number. That's just how it's been for years at this point. But you're playing Oakland, and you start every game with the lead, something you haven't done all season long, and then you blow every single lead late in the game, mixed in with your offense going stagnant after jumping out early. There's no excuse for the Rockies offense to be as bad as it was and having as many runners left in scoring position, even in the win in the game. And A's fans can probably relate to a lot of the stuff that too, because they can sit there and say the same thing. They probably look at this Rockies team and say, that's a team we should have swept. That's a team that's worse than us.
And Paul Francis Holden said all of those things. When we come back, we're going to talk about how Paul Francis Sullivan almost said exactly everything that you just said. Well, I think it's time to talk to our friends over at FanDuel. I bet if you had gone to FanDuel and bet on the Rockies on every single game when they had 4-0 leads, you thought you'd be able to clean up on that one. You thought the easy bets right there.
Yeah, it seemed like, and it's a coin toss, and it seemed like a good one, but talk about being betrayed.
Well, it's a winner-take-all time in the NBA and the NHL. Is it going to be Edmonton? Is it going to be Dallas? Is it going to be New York? Is it going to be Florida for the Stanley Cup? And is it going to be Boston, Indiana? Is it going to be Dallas or Minnesota? I don't know who's going to win, but FanDuel is giving you a chance to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, it's America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel. Hey, this is a reminder that Locked On has created the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local extras of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channel app. Yeah, I mean, the A's just came off of a stretch where they went 8 days without a lead. Not a win, a lead. 8 days where at no point did they look up at the scoreboard and say, hey, we're up. They came home. They were playing a Rockies team that was pretty hot, got stubbed their toe in San Francisco, but I think they got to turn things around. They got to just stop the bleeding. They got to just stop the bleeding a little bit. And when they fell behind in that first game, and they came back, they won on the Toro homer. I'm thinking, okay, they're still a little too reliant on homers, but at this point, we'll take what we can get. Then that second game where they would not bunt a runner over, even though one run would have won the game in the 10th or 11th, everyone's swinging for the fences, driving me out of my mind. And today I'm going, oh, God, you can't get that one more run on. If the A's had lost, you would be like, all right, we walked away with a series win. And I would have been like, the wheels have totally come off. They can't win these games. I'll tell you a moment that in the one game that Colorado won in this series, which is the middle game, I'll tell you a moment that I had that completely flummoxed me for positively for the A's, which was Austin Gomber was pitching a great game.
Right.
The A's, he didn't walk a batter. He let up one run on a solo homer. So they didn't rally off of him at all. Other than the one solo homer he let up to, who the heck did he let up the home run to? He let it up to Bleday. I mean, once again, I'm convinced he has 50 home runs. He has 7. But Gomber, they didn't rally off of him. He only let up 4 hits. That wasn't the Bleday homer. Didn't walk a batter. Struck out 6 and only threw 90 pitches. Okay. He wiggled out of a jam at one point, but the A's couldn't touch him. The A's could not touch him. And in came Jalen Beeks, hiding the ball as he's in his pitching. And I mean, the couple of flare hits and everything, but he let up 2 hits and a walk and blew the lead and made Gomber have a no decision. And I remember thinking, like, why not have Gomber come out and pitch the 9th? Like they had a long bullpen game the night before, and would it kill them to say, hey, let's have a completely rested and ready bullpen, knowing you have a day game after a night game, and they can't hit Gomber, and he is only at 90. At least have him start the 9th. I'd understand if he started the 9th and he let up a double. Okay, we'll bring someone in. But I was sitting there when I saw he wasn't coming out. I thought, good.
Yeah, I think it's a moment there again where, you know, I know the complete game isn't something we happen, and the Rockies did try to trot out a complete game, and it bit them earlier this season. But Austin Gomber has solidified himself with one of the best starts in Rockies history through 10 starts. He is one of 7 pitchers now in Rockies history through 10 starts to start a season to have a sub-3 ERA. Why not give him the chance, especially when you know you can't trust your bullpen. The bullpen, this isn't the first series that this has happened to the Rockies. You do not have a closer. You lost Daniel Bard to injury, and Tyler Kinley and Justin Lawrence have not risen to the role. Victor Vodnik has an argument to be there. We saw Victor Vodnik be successful in the finale in Game 3. He reached 100 miles an hour a couple of times, but with the Rockies not having the stability and the consistency in the bullpen, it has to be absolutely maddening if you're Austin Gomber, especially because when you mix in that Austin Gomber's season has also been marred by the fact that he's got no run support. These starting pitchers are doing exactly, especially Cal Quantrill and Austin Gomber, 2 of the pitchers that the A's saw in the series. They've done their job this year. The offense hasn't done their job, and the bullpen hasn't done their job to help make the Rockies play games. They don't play a complete game of baseball. They don't play 9 innings of baseball. They fall flat, and you can't be consistently counting on guys coming out of your bullpen with over 5 ERAs, especially in the 8th and the 9th of close ball games.
His last 5 games on baseballreference.com, the single race website, history planner. This is Austin Gomber. He let up 7 runs. He pitched 7 innings. Didn't walk a batter, lost. Then he pitched 6 innings, didn't let up a run, no decision, and a 1-0 loss. Then he pitched 6 2/3 innings, let up 1 earned run in 6 2/3 innings, no decision. Then he pitched 6 innings, shutout ball. Hey, he got a win. And then the other night he pitched 8 innings, 1 run, no walks, no decision. So those are 5 good, solid starts from a team that isn't exactly the 1995 Braves, and his record in that time is 1-1.
Quality starts. The Rockies lose quality starts from starters. That doesn't make any sense. If you were to say the Rockies are getting quality starts, consistent quality starts from their starting rotation, and you look at the names in the starting rotation of the Rockies right now, and then you follow it up with their losing, it just proves more examples that the team is broken. The team is busted. This something is wrong with the Rockies in the fact that it's not only are they bad, they just aren't prepared. They're not ready. They don't adjust. And it's from the top down. It's not an issue just with the players. It is an issue with the coaching staff. It's an issue with the front office. It's an issue with management. The Rockies are broken. They look underprepared in every game. I'm sorry. I don't know a ton about the A's, and I'll come completely clean and
you do.
Pardon my ignorance here to the A's fans here. But this isn't a team I expect the Rockies shouldn't have 2 games in which they have double-digit strikeouts against this team. Miller isn't throwing 9 innings or anything like that. It's unacceptable for the Rockies to continue to strike out at this rate and lose games like this, mixed in with the fact that, like I mentioned earlier, a lack of accountability, because this will not bring change to the Colorado Rockies. It's just going to be the class. I'm going to hear the Bud Blackism is that's baseball.
Well, hey, let me just show you that someone out here is appreciating us and completely embodies an A's Rockies crossover. Do you want to hear it? It's Leave It to Baker. Grew up in the Bay, but now I'm watching you guys live from Castle Pines, Colorado at work. Don't let your boss see that, Leave It to Baker. Don't let your boss see that you're watching these 2 clowns.
He's working the night shift. That's
hey, look at his avatar. He's got a Late Show with David Letterman mug, so he's all right. He's all right. Hey, bring it in here from one Paul Francis to another. Come on. There we go. Here we go.
Yeah, we're virtual hug. All
right, virtual hug.
I needed that.
All right. Well, hey, look at the A's. My goal for the A's is not to finish in last place in the last year in Oakland, and maybe the goal for the Rocks is to just be better than you were last year. Last year the final tally was 59 and 103. Avoid 100 losses.
We'll see if they can do it. I thought they could, but with the start,
maybe they can. Maybe they can.
Anything's possible. The second half of the season is a whole new ball game for a lot of people. The Rockies are better than what their record is, but it is hard to say that after a series like that, because there is talent there. I'm just not confident in the Rockies' ability to get the most out of that talent.
Well, the Rockies have 2 tough opponents coming up. The Phillies, who I think are going to win the World Series, and Cleveland, who is playing out of their mind right now. But a lot of people have overlooked the Rockies, and the Rockies have played well against some people. The A's are going to be playing the Astros, that's always a tough order. Then Tampa Bay in the matchup between the 2 teams that desperately need a new stadium. All right. Well, hey, Paul Holden, tell people where they can listen to your great show.
Find us Locked On Rockies on YouTube. Your subscription helps the show grow. Really appreciate it. At LO Rockies on Twitter as well. Follow us there. If you want to follow me, you can get more random stuff. But if you want Rockies talk, follow us at LO Rockies and Locked On Rockies on YouTube.
And follow us at Locked On A's on Twitter, whatever it's called now, and Instagram. I'm your pal Sully with Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, and also check out Locked On MLB, the show that I've been hosting since 2019. Crying with my fellow Paul Francis. That's Paul Francis Holden of Locked On Rockies. My name is Paul Francis Sullivan. You're listening to Locked On A's. Please, I'm begging you, call me Sully.